Well, Clark Lee and Vanderbilt pick up commitment number 14. This one's electric.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy part of your day, and shout out to the everydayers. Today, we start the week off by breaking down the newest commit, tight end Tilden Riley. Clark Lee brings in the electric tight end to the offense, and Tilden Riley and Adam Gehm will be a nice 1-2 punch as tight end and flex tight end in the near future. So, very excited to break this one down. But how much? This is going to be a tight end episode, apparently. So how much 12 personnel will Jerry Kill and Tim Beck use in 2025? Does Cole Spence get a bigger role in the pass game? Does Brycen Coleman factor in and contribute somehow? Lastly, how big of a deal is it that tight end U has chosen Vanderbilt as their facility? And they've done that for the last few years. George Kittle has a lot of respect, I guess, for Vanderbilt. Does it mean anything? We're going to get into that all today on the Locked On Vandy podcast. So thanks for making the Locked On podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. So Tilden Riley commits a tight end. Very excited about this one. This kid is about as dynamic as you get. He's a weapon. Just imagine a younger version of Eli Stowers, a younger, more raw version of Eli Stowers. This guy can do a bunch of different things. He's versatile, and he fits right into what we want the tight end to do, and what we want this flex tight end to do in the offense. A lot like what Eli Stowers does in his role. He flexes out wide. He plays traditional inline. He can play the wing. He can play out of the backfield. He can be the shovel option read guy. He can be a jet sweep guy, an end around guy. He can be somebody that lines up and beats you on a fade route on the outside. He can be in the slot. He can do a lot of different things. And this kid, Tilden Riley, can do a lot of those different things as well. So I am very, very excited to see what he brings to the table. So Tilden Riley, as I said, he brings size and athleticism to Vandy's tight end room as a flex tight end. He's 6'5", about 210 at this point. Will probably put on a little bit of weight. He's a little bit on the skinny side, but we can fix that. We can fix that for sure. And he's going to play the Eli Stowers role in Vandy's offense, as I just said. And what I really like about him is the versatility. And he's used in a variety of ways in the offense, and their coach understands. And I get it. It's South Carolina private school league football. So if you watch his film, I will caution you, be wary of, don't get wrapped up in the competition that he's playing. Look at the skills and just imagine it against bigger, faster, stronger people. Just imagine those skills. Imagine what he can do against those people. You have to use your imagination a little bit when you watch this huddle film, because the competition he plays isn't top notch, but you can see the skills. That's the thing about it. You can see the strides. You can see his instincts. You can see him going up and getting high pointing the football. You can see the fundamentals. You can see the things and the reasons why South Carolina, Virginia Tech, among others, also offered him. But Vanderbilt was able to win out on this, and it's because probably you see his role in the offense, and you see what Eli Stowers can do. You see what an athletic tight end can do in this role, in this offense, and you just it's there for you. It's right there. You can. Plays are there to be made, and there's a lot of ways you can use his athleticism, and he's going to be incredible. So, like I said, he picked Vandy over South Carolina. He picked Vandy over Virginia Tech. South Carolina being the in-state school, which honestly is a little surprising that he picked Vanderbilt over them. Hell, I'll take it. But like I said, it's more of a scheme fit than anything. I mean, it's him feeling like he's going to be properly utilized. It's him feeling like he's found a scheme that works perfectly for him. And this whole, like, I think they want to, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but like how Vandy wants to kind of transition based on the way they're building their personnel, how they want to transition into some more 12 personnel sets. I don't know that we saw a ton of those last year. I know Cole Spence was on the field quite a bit, so we probably did. And Eli Stowers is more like a bigger wide receiver, so it kind of felt like 11 personnel, and you can get that kind of feeling with Eli Stowers in the game with Cole Spence. But this is going to be a similar situation. Him and Adam Gehm, I think, are going to make a really good 1-2 punch. I think this is going to be a way more athletic 1-2 punch than you have with Stowers and Cole Spence collectively. Cole Spence is the bigger, more physical body in there. He's like 6'7", 250, 260, just a big dude, space eater, can drive you off the ball like your traditional really. And Cole Spence is a really good tight end. He's overshadowed a little bit by the flex position of Eli Stowers as far as athleticism go. But, I think when you look at the future of the tight end position, Brycen Coleman is somebody we're going to talk about in a little bit, but like, you add, and we knew they were going to add a flex guy. Adam Gehm comes in as the inline tight end, the traditional tight end role. He's going to be taking a lot more of the run responsibilities on. He's going to be taking a lot more of the inline tight end blocking stuff on, probably being pass pro more than he imagines. But he's going to be that more traditional tight end, whereas Riley is going to be the flex guy, the guy they move all over the formation, the guy they put on the wing to be able to be the shovel option guy, the guy they put out wide in some sets, the guy they put on the wing with Gehm. Like, there's going to be a lot of different ways that they use him, and the versatility is the biggest selling point with Tilden Riley. The versatility of being able to line him up and do the end around with him or do the reverse with him because he's fast enough to execute it. You will never see it coming, right? Him being the jet sweep guy or being the third option in the triple option, the pitch man in the triple option scheme that Tim Beck wants to run. So there's a lot of options here with this. There's a lot of ways that they can use him. And I really like that because anytime you can have different weapons that do unexpected things, it brings your offense more to life. It makes you a lot more unpredictable, and it gives you these weapons, and it creates matchup nightmares. So, I mean, think of a nickel corner trying to guard that. Let's say he plays at 225. By the time he gets on the field, he's 6'5", 6'5.5", 225. Well, he lines up against a nickel corner. He's going to bully the guy. They can run some sort of like hitch, slot, fade type situation, throw up to the back pylon, and boom, you can go get it. They line him up wide, put him on a corner. He bodies him for a slant on the goal line. Like, just think of the possibilities that you have in the red zone, especially with a target like that. And you've got some other bigger targets in the mix as well. Brycen Coleman will probably still be in the mix. Adam Gehm is no tiny dude. He'll be in the mix. You'll have LeBron Hill somewhere. And then I imagine you're going to have some bigger guys in the fold as well. Like, this receiver room is growing. The tight end room is really starting to take root, and you're really starting to develop a pipeline of, you have Eli Stowers and Cole Spence, and then next up is Adam Gehm and Riley Tilden. And then you have Brycen Coleman in there as well. And I think you have some other guys that are, they're not really as publicized, but there's going to be some guys that get some of that action as well. So very excited about this commitment, the versatility, the speed, the dynamic playmaking ability. Again, I caution you, do not focus on the opponent when you watch his highlight on Huddle. When you search up Tilden Riley Huddle on Google, that's how you do it. You type their name, you type Huddle, and their Huddle highlights will come up first result in the Google search. Click it. Watch him run. Watch his strides. Watch him catch the ball. Watch his instincts. Watch him navigate through traffic. Watch him break tackles. Watch the things that he does, and then you can think about how it would translate to that higher level. So I'm very excited about this. I know the team is very excited about this, and this is one of those commitments where you're just like, okay, we're going to be all right. The Eli Stowers role is alive and well, and it also lets you know that they're planning on being in this identity and being this type of team for quite some time. So I'm really excited about that. Tilden Riley, Orangeburg, South Carolina, commits. Welcome to the crew. Welcome to the club. Getting him over South Carolina and Virginia Tech is a monster win. So speaking of monster wins, there's some things in FanDuel that you can get that are monster wins. We'll talk about that. All right. Welcome in. Welcome to FanDuel. Yeah. So, well, the NBA playoffs might be over, but that doesn't mean the action is. The summer sports are right in the heat of it. And whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. If you're already following the action, why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. Or if you're getting sunburned at the beach, why not throw a little parlay in there? Anyway, I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride or right into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it easy. It makes it feel like I'm part of the action. So are you new to FanDuel? Well, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bet if your first bet wins. So open the FanDuel app today. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So if you need a second listen, Chris Gordy right here, Locked On SEC. Check him out. He's covering the best conference. He's giving you all the perspectives from all 16 teams in the conference. And yes, he does not forget about Vandy. I promise you that. He's covered plenty of Vandy topics, and it's a good thing. So Chris Gordy's a fun listen, and any one of the other 15 other teams in the conference, if you want to go listen to their shows, by all means. If you need some recommendations, Locked On Ole Miss. If you're looking for a specific team, that one's a fun one. Even if you're not an Ole Miss fan, it's just fun to listen to. Stephen Willis does a great job. So it's a tight end episode, right? You get a tight end commit, and your best player and your highest potential NFL guy, Eli Stowers, is a tight end. Tight End U is hosted at Vandy, where all the premier NFL tight ends come and train and do their 3-day course, their 3-day convention or whatever they call it at your facility. And you've got a couple of big targets that are going to make some big contributions in 2025. So it's the tight end episode. It's going to be a very important position at Vanderbilt. So the question is this, okay? And I love 12 personnel as much as anybody. I'm a big fan of it. I think especially if you've got a differentiation in personnel in that room, if you've got if you got a couple of guys that can do some different things, it's even better because you can make 12 personnel not feel like 12 personnel. You with Eli Stowers, you feel like you still got more than enough speed on the field to be able to make things happen. And that's the beautiful thing about it. Just because they're going 12 personnel doesn't mean they're going big and slow. Like what you think of traditionally with 12 personnel is two inline tight ends, and you're just running the hell out of the ball, right? 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers. You're just under center, turn, hand off, outside zone, inside zone, power, counter, and so on and so forth. So this is not what it is at all. With Vanderbilt's offense, they're very, very dynamic, and how they use their 12 personnel is even more dynamic and even more versatile, right? You have Cole Spence, who spent all last season playing the traditional tight end role, which is not surprising. He's 6'7", like 250, 255, somewhere around there. And he is a dominant blocker. He's great in the run game. He's great. He was great in pass pro. I know he probably didn't want to be in his pass pro as much as he wanted to, but he was great at it. He was good at it. I feel like a lot of times Diego Pavia had more than enough time to throw, and I think he was very well integrated in that coverage, or not coverage, but in that protection scheme. So he did a really good job of that. And I think they utilized it very, very well because they were able to take advantage of Eli Stowers and his abilities. They were able to use those guys as weapons. They were able to sneak Cole Spence out there a few times. I think Cole Spence had a touchdown in the bowl game. He had some pretty big catches. They were few and far between, I think, because a lot of it was because of the need in pass protection. I think they had a group that was still learning all the protections. It was a new group. It was the first year of everything. They were still trying to get a feel of things. They didn't quite have the personnel depth to be able to pull off 5-man protections all the time. So they had to keep Cole Spence in the protection scheme. And a lot of times they elected to go 7-man protection so that they could get some semblance of a pass game going. But nonetheless, I think things are a little bit more comfortable this year. I think you've got a little bit more veteran leadership on the offensive line. I think you've got some really talented veteran guys that have done this whole thing and that have played at a high level. So I think your abilities in the pass protection, I think you could take a little more risk in the pass protection stuff and go more 5-man protections. I think if you go 6-man protections, maybe you get the back involved instead of the tight end, or maybe even go 13 personnel and leave Cole Spence in there and like have some sort of play action scheme where you're doing the point is you can do a little bit more. I think you can be a little more creative with your 12 personnel, with your 2 tight ends, because the offensive line is going to be better. And I think the knowledge of the pass schemes and the protection schemes are a lot better this year as well. Not only with the players, but with the coaches as well. And just everything just seems more comfortable now than it was this time a year ago. And I think it's because they've established the baseline. So they've been able to kind of be able to add some other flavor in more in depth. So I think Cole Spence is going to play a role in that. I think he's going to be integrated more into the passing role. He's going to have more of a role in the passing game as we go. I think he's going to be a great, target on the stick concept, where and if you don't know what a stick concept is, it's basically a 5 to 6 yard stop route where you kind of drift into a window, right? You want to drift away from the inside linebacker, and you get a big 6'7", 250-pound body doing that. You provide a big target there. It's a really good drive starter. It's a really good short yardage concept as far as being able to hit somebody on the middle of the field. He can also run some crossing routes, some seam routes, something like he's athletic enough. He can run just about anything you need from the tight end position. So he's going to be able to do that, I think, more this year. Wouldn't shock me if you saw that a lot this year. Now, he's great in pass pro as well, so you'll probably see him in the pass pro. You'll probably see him in protection schemes as well. Not saying he's going to go out every single drop back or every single quick game setup, but he will be more involved, I think, and you'll see that a lot more frequently. Eli Stowers will do his thing. Like, they're going to get him ingrained, and they're going to get him in just going within those schemes. So I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited about how they're going to use this 12 personnel stuff. I'm very excited about what they're going to do with all of that. So with the formations, I think they're going to be able to get Brycen Coleman in and maybe do some 10 personnel formations with 12 personnel people, right? I think they're going to be able to do some things where they move guys around, trade, shift, motion, move guys around at the point of attack, and really be able to take advantage of pre-snap motion, deception, things like that too. Like, I'm really excited about what they're going to be able to do in being more deceptive and just overall being more explosive too. So this, I think this continuation, or this, this advancement of the tight end position in Vanderbilt's offensive scheme, I think the more comfortable you get with the guys you have on campus, and I think Eli Stowers coming back is huge, because whoever's going to take over in that flex role is going to have Eli Stowers there for one more year to be able to mentor him, right? You have a guy like Cole Spence who also is going to be available. Like, you get that tandem back for another year, so you get to do more advanced things with them. And you get to start that pipeline where now you bring in Adam Gehm and Tilden Riley, going back full circle. Like, those guys aren't going to be coming into a new situation like, hey, we got two really good guys. Like, how are we going to use them? Like, they already have that precedent set with Cole Spence and Eli Stowers. Now with Adam Gehm and Tilden Riley in the future, you just plug those guys in, right? And it seems very, very simple. And so I'm very much a fan of that. I think there's going to be some great things happening with Tim Beck in that tight end position as well, and what he's going to be able to do with this offense moving it forward. The tight end, even last year, was a very important part of this offense. It's going to be even more important this year, not only in run blocking and pass protection, but in pass routes, making catches in the goal, on the goal line, creating matchup problems, and being able to help a unestablished, I'm not going to say not talented because that's not true, but an unestablished wide receiver room get comfortable and feel like some playmakers are starting to emerge out in that group. In the meantime, you have your tight ends. You have some people there. You have some playmakers there. You have some guys that can really get this offense moving while your wide receivers are emerging. And it just allows it to all kind of go, right? It's all going to be smooth as a result. So a dark horse that no one's really talking about, Brycen Coleman had a phenomenal spring. How does he factor in? He's kind of like the third banana in this tight end room. Where does he fit in? Where's he going to get reps? What's going to happen with him? How do they use him? We'll talk about it next. All right, welcome back. We are wrapping up the show here. It's we're having a lot of fun here to start the week. It's the tight end edition of the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, and we are rolling right along. You get a big commit at the position, at the flex tight end position, the Eli Stowers position, really, and Tilden Riley from South Carolina. You get you get 12 personnel. Like, are we going to get a heavy dose of that? I think we probably should, especially early on, depending on how well these wide receivers develop and emerge. You might see 12 personnel a lot, which I'm cool with that. I like that. As much as I want to see an explosive receiver emerge, I'm a big fan of 12 personnel as well. So it is what it is. But there's a guy that's just kind of laying in the cut. Brycen Coleman. I mentioned his name a couple of times. He's kind of like that flex tight end guy, but he's also a little bit of a traditional tight end as well. Like, he is kind of a little bit of both. He's not quite Eli Stowers, who's more of a wide receiver than anything. He's like a big wide receiver, and he's not Cole Spence, who is he's a massive dude that can play tight end. He's kind of bit of both. He's got some athleticism. He's a big target, and I think he's going to be a dark horse for me for this season. I think he's going to be very, very productive as a tight end. And I think even in limited reps, as far as stats go, I think you're going to have to look at it relatively. I think, again, context matters. It always matters when it comes to stats. And he's not going to blow you away with any sort of number. But anytime that he's in, he's going to be productive. Like, all I kept reading and seeing in the spring was how unguardable this guy was. And, obviously I wasn't at the practices. I didn't get a chance to lay my eyes on this situation and see for myself. But like, you hear the reports out there, you hear the things, you hear the murmurs of, hey, we got this guy, Brycen Coleman. He was the talk of the spring. He was one of the spring MVPs. Like, this dude, you couldn't cover him. He was a nightmare for everybody. And as much as people were talking about that, even if it's not entirely true, like, there's got to be some truth to it. You don't say that as frequently. You don't talk about that like that if it's not partially true at least. So worst case scenario, he's unguardable for half the reps, and that's still good. You bring him in there, your chances go way up of making big yards or scoring points. And I think he's going to have some massive catches this year. I think he's going to be a really, really reliable red zone target. I think when you go 12 personnel in the red zone and you want to kind of spread the defense out a little bit, you get him and Stowers in on the slots and you have them cross or you have them do some things in the slot. I think you really, really are looking at something special with that personnel grouping, right? You go like, it could be like 12. It's not light because these two guys aren't light by any stretch, but you go like 12 lightning, right? 12 rabbit or whatever you want to call it to get your two fast guys in, like you get your two flex tight end guys in, like you can really do some damage. You could get them out there on like a flexed alignment where they're not quite wide, but they're like, it's cut down split. One of them's like Coleman's on the line of scrimmage and, Stowers is flanking him not far away, kind of like a two-man bunch, and it's tight. You can do a lot of great things because they're tight enough to be able to like crack on some outside zone stuff, and they're wide enough to be able to create some space for themselves and break out towards the pylons. Like there's a lot of different things you can do in that type of formation. So they bring a lot of versatility. But all I'm saying is this. They bring a lot of versatility. Both these guys, Brycen Coleman especially, brings a lot of versatility to that position. Eli Stowers needs a break, and you want to go 11 personnel, but you don't want to lose any athleticism. You throw in Brycen Coleman. He can get on the wing. He can block. He can do everything. He can do a lot of what Cole Spence does, although he still needs to improve on that. He can do a lot of what Cole Spence does. He can do even more of what Eli Stowers does, and he can be a threat in the game, right? If you want to go 12 personnel with Spence and Stowers or Spence and Coleman or whatever you want to do, I think there's a lot of different things you can do. You can move him around, and he's going to be dangerous. Like he's going to be a contributor, and he's going to be electric. And I think you're going to look at this and say Coleman had some massive catches, and you're going to say, hey, where did this guy come from? And then if you go back into the archives of the Locked On Vandy podcast, go all the way to June 30th, and you'll say, oh, Corey told me. He told me he was going to be a contributor. So very excited about that dark horse guy, a guy that you wouldn't think, he's on the forefront of your mind because of Eli Stowers, but this guy's going to be special. So speaking of special, though, tight end U being hosted at Vanderbilt. For some reason, I think it's a huge deal. And it may not be. And it may just be because Vandy was the only people that said yes, right? Like Titans probably said no, whatever. But I think them, because, George Kittle has a field at his compound, down the road. And they could have gone different places. They could have found any high school, any private school at Innsworth. They could have gone to Lipscomb. They could have gone any one of those places to find a field, to find some classrooms, whatever, to go work out. But they chose Vandy. Vandy's nice facilities, centrally located. Like there's a lot of I feel like there's a lot of respect there for what Vandy has to offer facility-wise, and just and Vanderbilt, of course, they're going to want to open their doors. It's a great recruiting tool. Hey, we host a tight end U. No one has to know the details of how they got tight end U and why George Kittle wanted and Travis Kelce and Greg Olsen wanted to come to Vanderbilt. You don't have to know all the details, but it's a huge deal because you cut on social media and you see tight end U and you see that big V. You see Diego Pavia working out with them. You see some of the Vanderbilt players working out with those guys as they're providing defenders, they're providing extra receivers, they're providing obviously the quarterbacks with Diego Pavia and some of those guys getting some throws in. They provide all of that stuff, and they should. And just for the sheer fact of, hey, the pros work out here. You just say that. You see Kittle, you see Bowers, You see all the heavy hitters, Kelsey, whoever. You see all the heavy hitters working out on the V. And as a recruit, that's all you got to see. Stars work out here. It's a place I got to be. It's a place I got to be. Right? You think Eli Stowers worked out with him? Absolutely he did. Tilden Riley, you think he saw that and go, okay, when I get there, I'm going to get a chance to work out with tight end you. Shoot, sign me up. Sign me up. Right? It's gonna turn into that. And I love it. I think it's a great recruiting tool. So anyway, I'm fired up that was the case. And that just simply put, you see the stars of the NFL working out on the V. It's a great recruiting tool. Anyway, well, that's all we got. If on your way out, make sure you also check out Locked On Portal. He did a crossover with Brian Smith, did a crossover with Stephen Willis. That was a great episode. It's a great show if you want to know what's going on in the world of the transfer portal. Otherwise, check out your list of SEC shows on this network as well as Locked On SEC. And we'll see you back here next week, or not next week, next time on the next episode of Locked On Vandy on the Locked On Podcast Network. Anchor down, behave yourselves. Peace.